Hey y'all, I'm Dirty Lola, award-winning sex educator and dildo slinger, and welcome to So You Want to Try, a podcast by Sensually. On Sensually, you can connect with verified providers who offer experiences in intimacy, wellness, kink, and more. Today, I'm speaking to Addis Fouché.
Hi.
I said your name right.
Yeah, you did.
Who is today's most relatable whore. I love that.
Thank you.
Addis is a native New Yorker, entrepreneur, OnlyFans creator, porn star, writer, marathon runner. Hello, Addis.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. Can you tell that I'm a Virgo by reading all of those things?
It's like you couldn't make up your mind about
No,
what
it's
you
like
needed
it's
to
no,
do.
no,
No.
it's not even like I can't make up my mind. It's that I just happen to be good at literally everything.
You are. I believe in you.
Yeah, I know. We forgot to add fashion model too. I just finished Coco Roche's model camp. Actually,
Come on. Listen,
I know.
and I also feel like marathon runner and sex worker kind of go together because
They
stamina.
absolutely do. I've
have
been
to.
running since I was 12. I was like that girl in middle school who always beat the boys to the mile run. It was like
Listen.
me as a 7th grader, and there would be like 2 8th grade boys in the whole school who could beat me, right?
Mm.
And then I ran in high school. I was undefeated for 2 straight years in high school, cross country and track. And then I used that to get into college, where I was on the New Balance scholarship.
Listen,
And I was hoeing all about town on that New Balance scholarship.
look, why wouldn't you?
I know.
Okay.
It's crazy because I actually just went and spoke at my alma mater.
Did you?
Yes, in October, at the end of
Wait,
October.
did you tell them that you had been hoeing about town when you went to visit? Were you
Yes. Yes, actually, the professor who picked me up, I was like, and see, that's the place where I ate ass for the first time.
like, memories?
I know. I honestly was just looking around and being like, oh my God, I did fuck over there. And I fucked over there. And I didn't fuck over there, but I worked over there. It was actually really nice to be back.
Yeah.
Yes, but turns out, so there's actually now a Black Studies major at the school. And one of the courses is about the Black experience at our school specifically. And one of the lessons in that course is about me.
I love it.
I know. So that's actually not why I was there, but I
No.
happened to find that out while I was on campus. And the students emailed me and was like, they were like, we heard that you're here. We read about you at school. We'd love to meet you.
We know.
They were like, we know you're here. We're hunting you down. And I was like,
goodness.
okay. And it was crazy because like there's stuff about me in like the archive section in the library, like downstairs.
That's what, I mean, let's talk about
Right.
the representation
I know.
and getting to be not in the archives
Thank you.
and being able to be out and be at your alma mater.
Yeah. Yeah, they actually asked me to come back and talk to a couple of the departments and student groups about sex, sexuality, power, and porn.
Yeah.
So I spoke to a sociology class. There was also a gender studies class. I'm going back next in the spring to talk to the econ department about the stripper index. I was an economics and Chinese double major, so it's professors that I already know. And who else did I do? A couple of student groups, and I guess now that other class.
Yeah. Worldly. We love that.
Very worldly.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So now we know all these wonderful things about you.
Yes.
And how fabulous you are.
Thank you.
I want you to tell us what you do besides all these things,
Sure.
more about your sex work things
Yes.
and how does that help the people you work with?
Amazing. So I started doing sex work actually when I was in college. So while I was at this very same school, I originally worked in advertising. So I was working 2 unpaid internships when I was 19, which like I think unpaid internships should just be illegal.
Yes.
And I had to have
Yeah.
2 at the same time because I wanted as much experience as possible.
Right.
So I was working about 100 hours a week and making literally zero money.
Mm-hmm.
And this is when seeking arrangement was popping off. This is what, 2015. And one of my friends from elementary school was like, Addis, I think you'd be a really good sugar baby. And I was like, you know what? I actually would. So
Yeah.
I'm good with people. It's
Yeah.
time efficient. And also like I'm pretty, I can hang out.
Yeah.
Right. And so I did that and that helped me get through that summer. And then whenever I came back home from school, I would always, make sure to see my little people. And that kind of kept me afloat.
Yeah.
And so one day, actually, my dad cut me off because
Okay.
we got into an argument.
Okay.
And cut me off. Like
Nothing.
he didn't even answer my text messages, didn't even come to my college graduation, also did not pay my last semester of tuition at school. And mind you, I went to one of the most expensive colleges in the country. It's about $65,000, $67,000 a year. So that's like not like a little thing to not pay for my very last semester of school when pretty much my entire life I'd gone to private school. So like really, you just have to wait till the very end. You really know how to make an exit. And I was like, you know what? maybe I should get back in my bag. And so I graduated. I actually almost became a soul cycle instructor because I had 2 jobs on campus. I was a barista. You can't be queer without being a barista at some point in
At
your
least
life.
once, or bartender.
Or bartender.
One of those.
Or both.
You're standing behind a bar at some point.
You have to make beverages for other people.
Yes.
Or else I don't trust you.
No.
Was this made by a gay barista, this matcha?
It might have been. I wasn't there.
I hope so. This is made by a straight person. I'm going to call this a hate crime. So, anyway, I almost became a soul cycle instructor, and then I got my first job in advertising at Wieden & Kennedy, which is the agency that invented Nike's "Just Do It" slogan. They also they did the Colin Kaepernick Nike ads. They did the Sweetie McDonald's meal, all the McDonald's meals. Yeah, so it's a really great agency. Yeah. And so I kind of had like a double life, right? I was like working my corporate advertising job. I ended up making it to senior associate. And then at night, I had like a separate apartment where I would see people at night.
Were you crossing streams?
Never.
Okay.
Well, there was only one time I did, but it was actually someone's dad who I went to school with. But by that time, I already graduated. So
right. Never anybody you were with. Like you weren't.
Never.
Okay.
No, never. And I loved it, honestly. It was like I had a double life. I actually got recruited from Seeking Arrangement to work for an agency in Midtown. So I had a great time. I loved it. And that was the first time I actually started making friends in the industry because, as a sugar baby, you actually don't have any friends.
No.
Like, you don't know.
It's kind of a solo entrepreneur.
You can't even see other people's profiles.
No.
So, like, I actually just didn't know anybody else who did it unless I happened to mention it to a friend and they said me too. And I was like, oh my God.
Right. You have to kind of just happen upon people.
You have to happen upon it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So from there, I ended up leaving advertising, not because I wanted to pursue sex work per se, but just because I was sick of advertising. Like, what, you make an ad for, Nestle, and then you do it again and again until we die? No, thank you. So I then started an OnlyFans because one of my duo partners, we made a video for one of our clients, and then we realized that the situation was just not what we thought it was. So I was like, what do we do with this video, right?
Right.
And she was like, just start an OnlyFans. It might do kind of well. And so I started one. And then it started to take off a little bit. And then I was on TikTok kind of talking about how being a sugar baby is kind of like putting pussy on layaway.
So you've just been spanning talking about sex work.
And started doing my OnlyFans thing, and like I was still seeing people full service. And then I started volunteering for Sex Workers Outreach Project, the Brooklyn branch, because I love volunteering. There's actually even a domestic abuse sexual assault nonprofit that I volunteered with for the last 9, almost 10 years. 10 years now, and that's 2025. For every 2 weeks, I take a hotline shift, and for 24 hours, you can call me, and I help you with whatever you're going through. And I realized that I just was missing that aspect in the sex industry. And as somebody who I don't drink, I have been to rehab twice, so like it's a big part of my story.
Yeah.
I noticed that in 12-step programs, they didn't actually teach Narcan training. They didn't even give out Narcan, which I thought was really weird. And I was like, well, I don't feel so removed from that experience in my life that I shouldn't be able to help another girl, another street worker, or just anybody if I see them having trouble, right? Like, I should know how to help them.
Right.
And so SWAP was offering Narcan training. And so I was like, you know what? Maybe I can volunteer with them. And so I started volunteering with SWAP and like making friends in the industry with like, the DOMs, the dancers, like everybody. And I loved it. And I would help with distribution and outreach. So we would make wellness kits for the street workers in East New York, and we would do safe sex kits, safe drug use kits, dental kits, menstrual kits.
All the helpful things.
Everything that they would need. Yeah. Sometimes we would even like, take like, I'd be like, oh, this person like knew that they needed like, fake eyelashes. So I would like, make sure to like save them one. And then when we saw them at distribution, like make sure to get that to them. Right. And then somebody on Twitter reached out to me and said, Addis, would you ever consider shooting mainstream porn? And I was like, well, yes. And it turns out that person had a lot of mutuals with my volunteer friends. And so that is how I got into the industry. Yeah, because they were able to verify that this was a real person. So as of now, I've shot with Bang Bros, Reality Kings, Naughty America, Tushy. Who else have I shot with?
Biggies.
A lot of big ones. I've shot with Playboy, and I'm actually the first person in porn history to ever be on the cover of 2 back-to-back Hustler magazines. So December 2024, Barely Legal, and January 2025, Hustler. It's out now.
Okay. I want to roll it back.
Please.
To the beginning of your journey.
Go for it.
When you're in Seeking.
Okay.
Do you remember your first person?
Yeah, I do.
And what was that like for you? And do you remember how that interaction went for them?
Of course I do. Okay.
Yeah.
First of all, his name was.
I'm gonna bleep.
Wait, yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe we should.
I mean, there's a lot of.
There's a lot.
Somebody out there's gonna be like.
They're gonna be like,
me.
well, he was weird. I will say this man was a weird motherfucker. Okay,
Like creepy weird or just awkward weird?
both.
Okay.
So first of all,
Okay.
we met at a Starbucks in Midtown. You know, like where it's like 6.5 Avenue.
Yes.
Of course, we met on 6.5 Avenue at that Starbucks, and I was 10 minutes late because the subway. I was very upset that I was 10 minutes late because of the subway, and he was like, "I just can't believe that you would arrive late," and I was like, "I just can't believe that you would wear a top hat." So we arrive, and you know he's kind of weird, and we go back to his place. And
Wait. Okay. If I showed up and someone had a top hat on, I don't know.
I just couldn't take him seriously.
Well, I don't know if I'm gonna go be alone with that person.
Well, you know, I was 19.
Was it a whole tails? Was it jeans and a top hat?
It was like a let me try to remember.
I'm trying to
let me
get
close
this-
my eyes and remember what else was with this top hat. He had glasses.
Was it styled right?
No,
okay.
it wasn't.
No.
It was
All
not
right.
styled right. He looked like he was somebody's uncle that they are glad they only see on Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
Like the uncle that you have to kind of like gear yourself up to hang
Where
out
you
with.
smile really big and you're like, hey!
Yes, he's that uncle. He was that uncle. And you know what? We go back to his place.
And it was his place.
His place that was close
Okay,
by.
Okay.
So he lived in Midtown.
Okay.
Got money.
I'm saying
Because of
nobody can live. I mean, although living in Midtown, still sometimes you're in a shoebox, but yeah.
But he was not in a shoebox.
Okay.
His top hat had a lot of space to roam.
He had the money to back up the top hat.
He did.
Okay.
He did.
Okay.
Honestly, if he took off that top hat and there were just like dollar bills in there, I would not have been surprised. So we go back to his place and like I'm giving him head. And the thing is, he's asking me questions like while I'm giving him head, like while like his dick is in my
He's
mouth.
giving you an interview moment.
And I kept having to like take the dick out to answer the questions. And I was like, Ralph, like we can have this conversation after the dick has been sucked.
Right. But maybe that was his thing.
But the thing is, then when we weren't sucking dick, he was silent.
Oh.
Then he didn't have any questions for me. And I was like, oh, now you want to be quiet?
It's less awkward. He was doing something with his body.
Maybe.
You're like a fidget.
And you know, the crazy part was like, that was the biggest cum load I think I've ever experienced in my mouth.
To this day.
To this day. Like it was almost like it like didn't stop. And like I'm a swallower.
He saved that for you.
He said, Addis, it's like you cleared my pipes. And I was like, and then he gave me the money.
Yeah.
And I left his place. And I was like, I literally remember walking on the street and being like, that wasn't so bad.
Is there anything, remembering that moment,
Yes.
and maybe some moments since,
Mhm.
is there anything that could have made that better, less awkward, or is it just what it was?
You know, I think a lot of it had to do with his personality.
Right.
So, you know, I think I just never need to see him again. But you know what's weird is I was on Tumblr
Yeah.
a while, way back. And somebody was complaining about on Tumblr.
And they
Being
mentioned the
weird.
top hat?
He was wearing a top hat in the photo.
Okay. Well,
In the photo that she posted.
I feel like once a weird, and this is why we have those sites that are like, are we dating the same person?
I know.
Is there like a sex worker equivalent to like
Yes.
Ali Oxenfree?
There
Be
is.
Careful of-
There is.
yeah.
I cannot disclose
No,
what their
we don't
names
want
are.
you to, but
But yes, there are.
folks should know
Yes,
that
yes,
it's
yes.
not that you will not go untraced.
No, you won't. And actually, so like I like to say, you know, in like 10 years in the sex industry, right?
Mhm.
There's been very few times where someone's been able to pull the wool over my eyes. And you know, when I screen people, it's not to make sure you're cute. It's to make sure that I am a safe person and that you're not a fucking weirdo.
Right.
So, you know, there's been a few times where people refuse to pay, you know, a late cancel fee or anything like that, or they try to short the change. And I'm like, okay, well, you know what? Thank goodness that I screened you and I actually have a selfie of you.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna go ahead and call your family or your employer.
Oh,
I don't play around.
listen.
And then they send that money right quick.
Right, because they don't want to be exposed.
Of course, because if you're doing this kind of thing to sex workers, I know you do it to anybody else if
Right.
given the chance. This is just your practice round.
Yeah.
So your entire community should know what kind of person you are.
I feel like you've given us a bunch of don'ts for clients?
Mhm.
We have some do's, like some
Yes.
good
Mhm.
tips that
Mm.
anybody listening
Okay.
may want to,
Yes, dudes. There
yes.
are some people that I love to see, actually. I love to see. I was just with somebody yesterday, one of my favorite clients ever. And if he's listening to this, he will know who he is. He bought a bunch of stuff off of my Amazon wish list.
We love it.
And it was stuff like, this really soft blanket that I wanted, a couple of like, cute bikinis, some sex toys, like just things like not even well sex related.
Yeah.
He also bought me Nicki Minaj tickets. This like last year.
Gifts.
This is
like
we love gifts, but we also like
Yeah.
somebody who pays attention
Yes.
to what I like, and somebody who doesn't text me incessantly, especially questions that like can be answered very easily on my link. Like I love when people please read everything that's on the link. I like to joke there's nothing on there that cannot be answered with either some common sense or just reading.
You have an FAQ.
I literally have
Kinda.
written it so
Yeah.
clearly. Like
Mhm.
I write like, I accept this kind of payment. I do not accept this kind of payment. If you need to do this kind of payment, then this is the protocol, right?
Right.
It's very, very, very clear.
They don't need to make small talk, which I think is sometimes what's happening is they
Sometimes, yes, but, I don't like it, and I know this is another don't. I'm very sorry about that. When people say, they start like dirty talking to me, like, and I'm like, sir, what about good morning? We just got here.
Yes.
And then it starts to feel like fantasy booking, which for those of you who are listening is like when you're just messaging the sex worker because you like the idea that you're talking to somebody,
Mhm.
and you're not actually going to book, because what that ends up doing to me is that I have to play nice with you on the hopes that you're going to book, right? And then it's free labor that I'm producing for you.
We don't want that.
And I don't want free
No.
labor, and I don't want to have to pretend that I'm enjoying this experience so that I can have the actual experience.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
And also it's stealing labor.
It's stealing labor.
It's stealing labor.
So another thing that I really do like is, when people come with, a clear intention of what they want, right? So if I'm like, hey, how much time are you thinking? Or like, when works for you, right?
Mhm.
I don't want to have to like, you just give out random times that work for me because I don't know your schedule. I don't know you, actually. So if I'm like, hey, 6:30, no, that doesn't work. Okay, what about 8:30 on Saturday? No, that doesn't work. Okay, well, what does work? That, being upfront and being a clear communicator. Clear is kind, and I love to say that.
Yep.
So as long as you can just give me your limitations, I'm never going to be mad about having limitations, but just be clear about that.
Send a doodle.
I am not a mind reader. I am not a mind reader, babes.
No.
I'm a Virgo, not a mind reader.
You need I'm also a person, I'm like, just tell me when you're free.
Exactly.
Then I can work around that.
Exactly. And there's certain things like, I love to help my friends who are interested in getting into this line of work. And everybody runs their stuff very differently, right?
Mhm.
Like some people don't offer Greek because they just don't like it. Some people do. But like I would never tell somebody who doesn't offer it, like you would make a lot more money if you just like offered Greek, because this is all about boundaries, right?
Right.
And I, for example, like because I have so many things going on, right? I have my discussion series with Soho House. I have Bitter Blush, I'm shooting, I'm writing, I'm, making content. I don't always have the time to make last minute bookings work.
Right.
So if it's a last minute booking, there is a rush tip involved, and I have that listed on my link.
Like anything else.
Right, like
Yeah.
it's like anything.
Special orders
Mm-hmm.
have fees.
Right, this is not Amazon Prime.
No.
Yes,
Even that, you pay for Prime.
that's true. That's
you pay
true.
for a subscription.
I also, if it's going to be like, early morning, or very late at night, there's also an additional tip. But there's some people who actually have such flexible schedules that they appreciate that kind of thing.
Right.
So I think it's also important to see that person as a person, right? And not be like, well, this other provider that I saw, they were really different and like their thing, ran differently. Like, yeah. I'm sure that different nail techs you go to, different masseuses, different doctors' offices run
Everyone
differently.
is different.
Exactly.
And
Mhm.
just, I think the big takeaway
Mhm.
is that this is a service.
It is.
And while it is answering fantasy and desire
Mhm.
and pleasure,
Yes.
it's still a service
Very much
and a
so.
business,
Mhm.
and respect it.
Right.
In
It
the
is your
same way.
hobby, but it is my job.
Right.
Mhm.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
like, you will work hard to have the fantasy of that.
Yes.
You are in this equally,
Mhm.
but it's still a business.
Of course.
And
Of
they
course.
need to respect and fees, and that everyone's different. I really
Everyone's
like
different.
that
Yeah.
it's not a blanket thing that everybody's
No.
going to do the same thing.
No, some people take deposits,
Right.
some people don't. I actually was like kind of like in like an argument, and I hate arguing with clients because I'm
Right.
like, ew. But he was like, yeah, I feel like I shouldn't have to give you deposits anymore because like we have that rapport. And I was like, no.
Mm-mm.
And he was like, well, I mean, a lot. I feel like that's ridiculous because like I've always been like a really good client, and like, There was one time where he just like sent me money just because like I had to take a break from the industry and like, was like super kind about that, which is great. I love that. But that doesn't mean that like from now on you don't have to pay deposits.
Right.
And he was like, well, there's other girls that I've, worked with before and like that's how they run things. And I was like, right, but that is their experience and that's yours. And he, just respectfully, like, let's not tell me how to do my job.
Right.
And he was like, well, I'm not trying to be rude. I'm trying to tell you my experience. I was like, right, but when you use the words ridiculous, it is kind of rude.
Right. It's rude, but also he doesn't know your experience and why you have these things in place.
Exactly. And also too, this is somebody who like, when I see him, it's easy, but then also too, he like, has a lot of, things on his plate as most people do. And so sometimes when I go to a city, he's not able to meet and he'll be like, oh yeah, I'd love to. And then can't. I'm like, right. So like, I'm not going to like on the off chance assume that like you're going to be able to do it. Whatever reason you have for not wanting to send a deposit, I don't really care, but like, let's not make that a me thing.
Right. So we have get your schedule together.
Get your schedule together.
Know what you're looking for.
Mhm.
Understand and read thoroughly all the information given.
Right.
And understand the fees. And you can ask clarifying questions, but don't ask the question that can be answered by reading.
Or with some common sense.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Like, like Nicki Minaj says, step your pussy up. You need to step your pussy up.
Get it. So we're talking about safety and are there things that clients should be prepared to hand over for your safety?
Of course.
But also, are there things that they should ask for their safety?
Yeah. Okay. So if you're worried about being scammed, I think some critical thinking would be helpful here. It's usually very easy to tell if someone is fake, right? Do they have a website? Do they have a social media that they post on often? If they say that they're doing a tour to Austin, Texas, does their social media show that they're in Austin, Texas? Like, really do the research because someone who's scamming you is not going to take that much effort to scam you that well.
Yeah.
But also, too, I'm not going to risk my entire career and reputation off of a deposit.
Yeah.
Off of like, $300. That doesn't make any sense. So I think some critical thinking would be helpful here.
Yeah.
Everyone screens differently, but typically, I screen in one of three ways. You can either send me a clear photo of your ID, your LinkedIn link, which must have 500 connections and a photo. So I know you didn't make it literally an hour ago.
Right.
Or you can send me a few references from providers you've seen in the last couple months, whatever. No agencies, please. I need to talk to the actual person and send their ad. Don't just send a random phone number. I do not just have random people's phone numbers and know every single provider. And also that could be literally your spam number. It could be your work number.
Right.
I don't know who that is, right?
Yeah.
So
if we'll lie about references, we'll lie about this.
Yeah, right. It doesn't bode well for me.
Yeah.
So, in terms of screening, like, just know that like it is much more likely that you are dangerous to me than I'm dangerous to you, especially if I'm a real person.
Yeah.
So, if you're worried, like, oh my goodness, like I don't want you to know my personal information. First of all, baby, your personal life is not that interesting for me to want to dig into it.
Yeah.
I also have things to do.
Yeah.
So even if it were that interesting, I don't have the time to meddle into your life to like mess it up or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
But these are also safety things that I do for dates.
Exactly.
I make people, I need a clear picture.
Yeah.
If I'm going to your house,
Yes.
I have your full address,
Yes.
zip code included.
Somebody has my location.
Yeah.
Yeah.
13 people have
13
my,
people,
like
yeah.
I have all over the country. Somebody's going to be awake
Exactly.
while I'm on this date. And then if I get in your car, they have your license plate.
Yep.
Because what's not happening is I'm not disappearing. And
No.
if I do, they're going to find you.
No, exactly. They're gonna-
like, it's, yeah.
Like if there were a way for me to like put an air tag in my skin, I would do it.
Yeah, yeah, that part. Don't do that though.
No.
No, but this
I wouldn't be sexy.
It's about being safe. And I think another a thing that I've picked up, because now we have all these scattering of social media, like Blue Sky and things. And there's a worry about people coming in and just starting accounts as people who are already established because they're not established yet on Blue Sky because everybody's new. It's like, who's real? And I saw, because there's a way for you to make groups on Blue Sky.
Yeah, there is.
And people were like, I just need to verify, who are y'all, the real person?
Yeah.
Or are you somebody who took that person's name and came over?
Uh-huh.
So, but go look on multiple
Please.
things.
Exactly. And in terms of like what is appropriate to ask me, do not ask me for my ID. Do not ask me to verify myself because that is not safe. And it's also a waste of my time when I've put in so much effort to create an ad and a way for you to know exactly what the booking process and experience is like and for you to know that I'm a real person.
Yeah.
It's almost like insulting and it's very unsafe.
And you could have a safe person know where you're going.
Exactly.
Like if you're worried about being murdered, which is unlikely, but if you're worried about that, there should be someone you trust with, I'm seeing a sex worker.
Like please find a story.
Have your bro friend,
Find
whatever
a story of a guy who's hurt by a sex worker in the news. You cannot
That's
find
not a movie.
That is not a thing.
And it's not an SVU episode.
No.
Yeah, like real life. But you can have a safe person too. I
Yeah.
tell men this all the time. You should be afraid.
Mhm.
Be afraid. I want you to be afraid because it'll make you act better. Like
Right.
be afraid
I
that
hope you're scared of me.
we want to make sure that we're both sane.
Yeah.
Like this isn't just for me.
Yeah, no.
You know, I'm doing this for you too.
Yeah.
Got a kink you can't get out of your head? Work with a skilled practitioner to show you how to explore safely. Join Sensually to discover kink practitioners, intimacy coaches, erotic artists, and more. Sensually is the platform for discovery with endless opportunities to explore your sensuality. Create your free account today at www.sensually.com. That's spelled SENSUALI. Or you can follow us on social media. All links are in the description. Big shout out to Shag, the best little sexy shop in NYC. We love their curated selection of toys, lube, lingerie, and bondage gear. But Shag is more than a sexy shop. They're a community hub, providing resources, hosting art shows, workshops at the Moxie Hotel, and stocking products from local designers. Get 15% off with code SENSUALLY, that's SENSUALI, at WeLoveShag.com, exclusive for our members. And hey, you might even catch me, Dirty Lola, slinging dildos behind the counter. Follow them at We Love Shag. Okay, do we have any hygiene do's and don'ts?
Oh, yes. There was one time when I was working for the agency in Midtown. This guy's dick just smelled like cheese.
Yeah, that happens.
Please no cheese dick.
Was it uncut?
No.
Oh, see, I get when it's uncut, it's sometimes, I mean, that still means you're not cleaning things.
That just, yeah, right. That's even worse.
Right, it's even worse. But when it's not cut and it has the, as we call it, the Fremunda cheese.
It just had
it's
like a little.
What's happening?
It had like a little pungent, like a little.
We don't want that.
No, I would also say, if you're drinking coffee before and you are going or smoking, please make sure to brush your teeth or mouthwash.
And hands, especially because that's yeah.
There's one thing that I don't like is like if a guy has me meeting him at a hotel that he's checked into and the soap in the bathroom is still wrapped.
You have a shower right there.
Babes, you've been here for a day. What do you mean you haven't washed your hands at all?
Every good movie with a sex worker in it, they always have the little towel moment. Have your little towel moment.
Like I just need you to wash. Like I just need to know that you've washed your hands at least once today.
It's sexy when you come out the bathroom and you have the little towel on and your hair is wet.
I'm
just saying, just so you know, whoever's listening.
It's sexy.
We love it.
You know what?
But you actually use the soap though.
No, that's what I'm saying because that tells me that you're not washing your hands. Do I want your fingers in me?
All the soap should be unwrapped and look at you.
Please.
We're gonna check.
I'm gonna check. No, like I actually do check now.
Yeah, I mean, because you know, hello.
It tells me a lot about you.
Yeah. No, we don't love that.
Right. Well sometimes if I see a wrapped soap and I have a nut allergy, so which is funny. Yeah, I'm allergic to tree nuts.
Does that translate to cum? If somebody ate like a bunch of cashews?
I haven't experienced that.
Okay.
But like if we're making out, it does. Yeah, so that's the thing for me. So
do you note that to like, please don't eat tree nuts before you see me?
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah, I do actually.
Yeah.
When I was in college, I was afraid that like somebody, this is when I was like fucking 16. I was afraid that somebody would be eating granola at the function and then I'd make out with them and I'd go into anaphylaxis like at the function. That was like my worst fear.
I mean, so be aware of the person you're seeing in there.
Please don't let me go into anaphylaxis.
No. Well, that, first of all, that does not work for them either.
No, it doesn't.
Because if they leave you, that's murder.
That's murder.
I'm just telling you.
No, exactly.
If you leave somebody who's going into like anaphylactic shock.
There was actually, you know what? There was one time where I was like sure that this guy did not wash his hands. And like you can just see like the fingernails, right? And I was like, oh my God, I'm always just super nervous about, if someone's come into contact with nuts. So can you please wash your hands just for my safety? That worked. Yeah. It's great. It's great. I'm very allergic to latex and I learned that. So what do you use, like skin condoms?
Yeah.
I love those.
Those are my favorite.
Me too. I've submitted my
There's some other ones, but they're not, I don't know. Skin is just my favorite. But I learned the hard way about transference and like residue.
Have you ever, you know what's also really bad is like, have you ever given head to somebody who uses a condom that has spermicide on it and then you get like the
yeah.
And you can't actually just like drink water and
back in the day
go away because it's an oil.
It's an oil. and it's stuck. But not anymore because I can't. I will literally go into. I have an EpiPen in my bag right
Oh
now.
my God,
Like, this is the moment.
sister.
Yeah, ha, twins.
There was one it's a twin nap. Be irritating. There was one time actually at boarding school where this girl, so I went to boarding school for high school. I went to an all-girls boarding school, and I also attended a co-ed boarding school, so two
Okay.
boarding schools. And this girl gave out these chocolates. She was from Australia, and I don't know what kind of chocolates they were, but they had Nutella in them, and I couldn't
Which is
see.
hazelnut, yeah.
But I couldn't see because it was chocolate, right? And so then I go into anaphylaxis at sit-down dinner, which is like formal style family dinner that happens once a week with like assigned seats. And then I was like, excuse me, guys, I'm just gonna go to the bathroom. I run back up to my dorm room, and then I use my EpiPen. I actually had to ask a day student to help me because I was nervous.
Yeah.
And then I was like, all right, that was that on that. And then I go to cross country practice like the next morning. And I'm like telling all my friends, like, guys, I was so sick. That was so crazy. And my coach is like, you need to go to the hospital. You
have
literally
to.
cannot come to practice. You can't go to practice. You're about to
No,
run 6
you'll
miles.
die.
Yeah, so I didn't go to practice that
Yeah,
day.
because the epinephrine.
Mhm.
So here's a little. If you ever are with someone
Mhm.
and you have to use their EpiPen,
Yeah.
one, it doesn't go in their heart, friends. That's Pulp Fiction, and that was adrenaline. It'll kill someone if you put epinephrine in their heart. So
Yes.
it goes in your thigh, and you have to hit really hard. So you have to like slam your fist down. 'Cause it's got to pop, and the needle has to go in. But they have to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
Because epinephrine can't be in your body like that. So you have to go to the hospital immediately, or you can't do things like run where your blood.
Yeah, no,
will
I
be-
just straight up
yeah.
put up my Nike.
It'll kill you.
Guys.
It's just slowing down the reaction,
Yeah.
but it will still kill you to have epinephrine.
I don't know why I thought that was a good idea. I was like 15, so.
I feel like they didn't really. I found out
Yeah.
by looking it up that I needed to go to the hospital because I don't think my doctor told me like if you ever use this, go to the hospital.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no, you can't just do it.
Mm-mm.
I love it. All right, wait. I had a question and
Please.
it sailed away.
I'm sorry.
Oh no, was Top Hat your worst client? And if not,
No.
okay, give us a worst client, best client.
Well, best client, I just said talk to you about one of my favorites.
Yes,
I have another who I think really wants to date me. But
that would make them the best client.
no.
Okay.
He is one of my best actually.
Okay.
But I think because I told him no that he would be a really bad boyfriend, he wants to date me even more. Would I date him? Yeah. But like I just think that like somebody that wealthy who always gets what he wants and lives by himself just should not get what he wants all the time.
Is this a romance novel? Do you know the billionaire trope?
Mhm.
This is like
Yeah,
I'm literally reading a book right now.
It's like a
that sounds
Colleen
like-
Hoover book.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, it is.
yes.
So I really like him. He's actually like, I think he's one of my favorites because we have a lot of overlap in our lives, but he does a really good job of making sure that I don't know that until I find out, right? Like one of my childhood friends is a manager at a very popular bar in Brooklyn. And I would go all the time, mostly on Fridays and Saturdays, because that was a space where I knew I could get mocktails for free.
Right.
And I was talking to my friend about this client that I have, and my friend's like, I'm sorry, what is his name again? And I tell him, and he's like, he comes here all the time. And I was like, that's not possible. I come here all the time. And he was like, no, he comes on a different day than you. And so then I mentioned this to that client. I was like, I've told you that my friend is the manager. What, do you go there all the time? And he was like, yeah, I do, but I didn't want to go on days that you were there. So I thought, like, I didn't want you to think that I was stalking
Okay,
you.
but respect.
There's
right?
a lot of respect. He
That's
said he's also
respectful.
seen me walking down the street when he's driving, but he doesn't want to say anything because he gets nervous that I will be freaked out.
Are sex worker rules like therapist rules? Like you're not supposed to acknowledge if you're in public? Like
Oh my God, no, there was one
kind
time.
of look away.
No, there was one
Okay.
time I was actually in the East Village because my favorite bakery is over there, and I wanted some cake, and I saw this one client that I used to have, and I was like, "Oh my God, hi, what's up?" And he was like, "Hey."
So it's not, yeah, because my partner's
very
a
normal.
therapist and he often is like, oh, I saw a client, and he has to look away, or he has to let them know if he finds out they're going to be at a same place.
Oh no,
'cause
no,
they're
no.
in a small town.
Oh
Yeah.
no. So I'd say he's one of my best, and I think that's just because the more like normal and humanizing you can make it, the
Right.
better the experience is going to be for me. And I love the people who do that. I'd say one of my worst. Oh, there's so many worst to choose from. Let me think. Oh, okay.
Like, do you have a favorite word?
Oh, I do have a favorite worst actually. Let me get comfortable. So there was this one guy who he was a young guy and he had me meet him at his place in Brooklyn. And when I got there, he was like, "Oh my God, you're actually like so much smarter than I thought you were gonna be." And I was like,
Off the bat.
I was like, rude. Okay. And then I walk into his apartment. It's like a scene out of Hoarders. Just ivitems everywhere, strewn about everywhere. And I was like, oh my God, this is crazy, but you know, you do what you have to do.
Right.
And I walk into a bedroom and I was like, oh my God, this room is crazy. And
Really flat
And he was like,
pillows.
and he looking like a tea bag.
Yeah.
All right.
I think I know this man.
I was so shocked. And he was like, oh, no, not that bedroom. I was like, oh, thank God, not that bedroom.
Not that bedroom.
I walked into the right bedroom.
Okay.
And that one is somehow worse than the first one. There were water bottles everywhere. Miscellaneous liquids in the bottles. Just awful. And so I was like, you know what? I cannot do the service here. And so it's very clear also, like, once he starts taking his clothes off, that he's lost a lot of weight, right? Like, he, like, lots of loose skin. I don't give a fuck, right? And so this man is, like, now naked in front of me. I'm surrounded by loose bottles. And so then I was like, I don't think I can do the service here today. Let's go sit in your living room on the couch, and we're going to talk about why. Because I don't want to just, like, leave and have you think that, like, I left because of your loose skin.
Yeah.
Never that.
Not
Never
your
that.
body.
No, it's you, actually.
It's the bottles.
It's the bottles.
Not your body.
No. And you know what? And, like, I didn't want him to feel offended, because also, like, that wasn't it. Like, I actually do have on, you know, all of my ads, like, I, you know, accept all sizes, races, genders.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really that kind of person.
It's about cleanliness and hygiene.
And so we sit down, and I was like, right, so I can't do the service here today because this is just not a place you can bring a woman, period.
Right.
You know, and
whether you're paying for one or not.
Right. And he was like, well, I've, you know, had other girls come here before. And I was like, right. And the place
Did they
looked
come
like
back?
this. And right, that's what I said. Did they come back? And he was like, well, no. And I was like, right. So, like, that's something to maybe be self-aware about. And he goes, yeah, well, you know, like, business is business. They're going to do their job anyway. I was like, that's disgusting. And you know what's crazy is this is somebody who thought that he was a lot smarter than me. It looked like his parent had passed away, and so maybe that's why he was hoarding, and, like, you know, that's why he had all this disposable income.
Yeah.
And this was somebody who genuinely thought that he was better than me, and so therefore I would take any kind of treatment. And I was like, right, so tell me a little bit about your life, just so I know, you know, like, a little bit more about you. You know, he goes to Brooklyn College, he's young, whatever, studying whatever, blah blah blah. And I was like, it's so interesting that you thought you were better than me,
Right.
when my school has a 12% acceptance rate.
Right.
And you thought, because I'm a sex worker, that you were more well off than me.
Yeah.
And smarter.
Yeah.
And more worthy. And none of those things are true, in fact.
Right.
I did not grow up in poverty.
Right.
I actually grew up in extreme privilege.
Right. It's the assumption.
The assumption.
And let's get into that. It's the assumption of who does sex work.
Exactly.
And what, because not everybody, this isn't an episode of SVU,
No,
right?
no, please.
Not everybody. There are people doing sex work because they just have to, and they are on the desperate end of things. And there are people who are doing sex work because it's just like I'm an intern, and this is a viable option.
I have an intern whose dad cut them off, and they now almost cannot graduate from their $65,000 a year college.
Right. But then also, I mean, we have the conversation where we talk about people like, well, go get a job. I'm like, do you know how much McDonald's pays so little? Working in retail pays so little. Like, everybody is complaining about not being able to afford rent.
Yeah.
And during the pandemic, what was everybody trying to do? What was the joke?
I should just make an OnlyFans.
I should just get an OnlyFans. I can't tell you how many angry conversations I had with friends over, and my friend was like, I'm just kidding. And I'm like, this is not a thing to kid about. It's
actually not funny.
I'm like, do you know how much work it is to sell feet pictures? I'm like, first of all, your feet aren't that cute.
Let's start there.
You have to go get a real pedicure and, like, moisturize. You need some moisturizing booties.
You need creative things for your feet.
Yeah, you have to do things. Can you hold things with your feet?
Are you going to stomp on some grapes? Are you going to go to a bubble bath just for your feet?
It's not just...
Are you going to get a fuzzy rug for your feet?
Yeah, it's not just toes out. I mean, like, can you pick up a bottle of Coke with your feet? Do you like toe rings? And I'm like, there's so much you have to do. It has to be creative. And then I said, there's all the back end admin work that y'all don't see. The editing, the putting it up, the creating the account, and then all the banning. You can't just market it.
No.
You can't. You got to call it OnlyFlans.
Yep.
Like OnlyFriends, all the names we have for it.
Yeah.
And then you have to get clientele. I'm like, where is your internet presence?
No, exactly. I like to think of, like, you know, the content sites like OnlyFans, Loyal Fans, whatever, and then mainstream porn, and then full service work is like the three branches of government. They all kind of like feed into each other and like help each other out, you know?
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. And to your point, it's all about, not assuming and humanizing, which I think are just two sides of the same coin. They're opposites, right? Like the
Right.
people who I love seeing in person are people who humanize and don't assume anything about
Right.
me. And then I also don't assume anything about them and treat them as people. And the people
Right.
that I really despise are the people who assume that I will take a certain kind of treatment or that I do certain things a certain kind of way or that I will
Yeah.
be less smart than them simply because I am a sex worker.
It's people that watched Requiem for a Dream and think
Exactly.
that everything is the ass to ass scene.
And that's
Yeah.
why I, created the moniker Today's Most Relatable Whore, because there's a lot of people that I meet who are like, I've never met a sex worker before, Addis. And I'm like, no, baby, you have, and you just probably didn't know it.
That part.
Mhm.
That part.
Mhm.
That part.
Yeah, you actually just didn't know. A lot of people don't know what certain sex workers, what their name is, which is, for obvious reasons,
Right.
right? What their voice sounds like. If they have hubbies or friends or a family or, anything to them, even if their own individual fashion routine, they don't even know that.
And let's get real.
Mhm.
There's so many people doing survival sex work that don't want to name it that. I
Mhm.
mean,
Exactly.
real talk, my mom, like
Mhm.
looking back, my mom was doing survival sex work
Mhm.
for groceries at the bodega.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Mhm.
She would invite the bodega man over before the shop opened and then send us over with him to unlock the store. We weren't getting all that for free.
Exactly.
I mean, we thought we were, but Scott toilet paper, milk, and eggs and bread and then candy
For
is
free?
well, it wasn't free because he came over before
Right.
right. None of that was free.
No, definitely not.
He didn't even own the store. So
Oh, that's a whole other thing. Okay,
he was just
all
working
right.
his shift.
Yeah.
But there are people who are doing
Mhm.
survival sex work. They're
course.
never going to talk to you about it.
Mhm.
That don't want to talk about it. That
Right.
don't label it that, and that are just doing, getting by. So when people say like, "Oh, I don't know anybody," you don't know.
You
You don't
definitely
know.
do.
You probably know more than one person.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because there's just so many areas. So it's just like
Exactly.
the mutual respect.
Mhm.
I also love that you talk about the people that need this, right? And it's um I have friends who are disabled, and there's a lot of talk in the disabled community about sex workers and how they help them
Absolutely.
with pleasure because they a lot of times are homebound.
Mhm.
They're not able to go out and meet
I
people.
would love. I've only ever had one disabled client, like one physically disabled client in my career, and I would love to actually see more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
really
it's like
would.
hard.
Mhm.
That's a hard. It's like there's not a board. It's
No, there
hard.
isn't. There isn't
It's
a
like where you
board.
can get
Mhm.
matched up. But
Yeah.
that is it's you are giving a service to people who need it
Mhm.
and who deserve it.
Mhm.
Because pleasure is a right
It
and
is a right.
revolutionary
And pleasure in your way
right.
is a right.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. As
Mhm.
long as it's consensual from all parties.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We want that
Mhm.
and we love that.
Yeah.
I love this.
Thank
I
you.
love this. Sliding into a whole other question. This
Please.
one caught my eye.
Okay.
Do you think people should be paying for porn and why? I know this is I don't even know why I said why.
Yeah.
Because people should, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think they should. And a lot of people wonder, like, how do porn stars make money? Do you make a lot of money? How do the studios get paid?
Yeah.
So mainstream porn is shot on a flat rate. We do not get residuals on the scenes that we shoot for, for Brazzers, for Reality Kings, for Adult Time. Actually, both my Brazzers and Adult Time debuts are coming out this year, which I'm excited for. I've already shot them. They're very great scenes. And it's really frustrating. There's so many rules to that. One, because there's no, porn star union, but also two, because of the way the tube sites work, it would be very, very, very difficult to pay people off of residuals because of how much, spoofing there is and copyright issues. So that's why. But I think because of that, that means that people should be paying for their porn because it means that we're not getting treated the same way that other actors or models or other people are. And also, too, it's labor that you guys are using. And to be honest, I'm actually working on a piece right now about how subscribing to someone's OnlyFans is not necessarily considered cheating, like any more so than just watching free porn, right? Because the thing is, people love to say sex work is work until they're confronted with it in their face. Why is it that when you're handing the money directly to the sex worker, right, and humanizing them and seeing them as a person, it's an issue, right? But if you're watching anonymous bodies on Pornhub, that's totally fine because sex work is work. Nobody knows them.
Yeah. And I often hear like, well, I don't know what sites. I don't know where to go. And I'm like, literally, Pornhub is a great place to find other sites because they're always showing you clips.
Always.
Of you can go pay for this and see the whole video.
Yeah.
Literally, most of what is on Pornhub at this point is just like, okay, you want to watch this? Go watch this.
Exactly.
Unless somebody's stolen it, ripped it, and put it.
And there's certain
online.
studios that'll like choose select whole videos to put on there, but that's pretty rare.
Right. They're not giving you the whole thing. And
no.
So there's so many in that way. And two, I think when you pay for your porn, you can, especially hello women out there who don't think, who are just like porn. Because I think a lot of women are like, porn's not for me. There's so much porn for you.
There's so much porn for
There's
you,
so
baby.
much porn for you. And there's so much porn being written more in a story format. And then when you pay for it, you can find those things. Because those things aren't usually put on those sites because they're more geared. They're starting to sprinkle them in. I go check because I do. I want to see what's out there.
Yeah.
But I love seeing like sites that I do pay for. I'm like, oh, good. They have like a little commercial going. And I think it's a great way. It's a great tool. It's like not therapy. Please don't replace your therapy with porn.
Sure.
But it's a great tool. It's like I recommend porn when people buy sex toys, and I'm like, oh yeah, have some music playing, or better yet, porn. Porn is great. I'm a trauma survivor, and porn helps me focus because there's a sexy thing happening that I can look at instead of dissociating.
Exactly. Okay,
Right.
So you get it.
I get it.
And actually, I to your point on that, like I think as somebody who has experienced SA twice in my life, once when I was, drugged and very out of it and had no idea what was going on. The other time when I was 100% sober, as this was after I'd gotten out of rehab for the second time. And I was like, why do I want to be a part of this community anyway? This sucks because now you guys are all evil. Right. I think it's actually been easier for me to separate, what is, sex that I have for work versus what is sex that I have in my personal life, because I had to separate sex in my personal life from sex that is assault.
Yeah.
So I think that, that kind of turned a traumatic experience for me into a strength.
Yeah. It helps. It helps with the compartmentalizing.
It does. And, honestly, like, I think a lot of people, will ask me, like, do you have a personal sex life? Like, do you date? Yes, I date. I'm actually single right now. So I'm on the market. If you're sexy and you want to take me on a date, DMs are open. But
we're not crossing streams, though. You're not saying clients
do not take me on a date.
Right. No. Unless you're paying for it.
Right. There's a difference there.
Right.
But, at first I was the kind of person that was like, I only want to have sex if it's for work or if it's like I'm in a relationship. Because it felt like, why would I go have, sex with someone for free when, like that is something that people often pay for. It felt like I was kind of giving stuff away. But then when that started to sink in, I realized that like I wasn't having sex for fun necessarily anymore. And it kind of took the fun and the play out of it. And every sexual experience felt like high stakes. And so I was kind of like, you know what? I like the power that I feel and, the satisfaction of being like, okay, you're a client. You, just a one-night stand. I never want to see you again. Right. You are a friend, then we fuck, but don't take me on a date. We can go on a date, but I don't think that we should fuck yet, right?
You're good at boundaries.
Very good boundaries.
What I'm hearing
Very
is you're
good.
really good at
I've
boundaries.
had to get really good at it, and I think being a sex worker has helped me be better at that.
Yes, it's a skill.
Yeah.
I love it.
Thank you.
So I'm going to say you're not a typical sex worker. Your experience, your background, all the things, how you rolled into one thing for another.
Yes.
For those listening who are looking to book, do you have any thoughts on like who you may run into or what you may want to when you're looking for folks or how to find some? I don't know. Finding.
Yeah, I'd say like think about the kind of experience that you're looking for and really think about, how would I feel if this person was 10 minutes late? How would I feel, for example, right? How would I feel if, how would I want to feel if I came too quickly or what in my mind is came too quickly? How would I want that person to respond?
Right.
Would I want that person to be someone that I travel to or travels to me? Or
These are questions that people can ask too.
They can.
Like, I think something clients should know is you can talk about like here's the moment. Don't wait until you're there.
Exactly.
Instead of texting about things that are in the FAQ,
please
say like, hey, I've been having this issue.
Also, too, I am never offended if somebody comes too quickly. I don't believe in that.
No.
I also like the idea that like, oh my God, they were so turned on by me that they just like couldn't hold
but
it.
Get it out
like,
of the way. Yeah, but get it.
Yeah.
But say the thing because then you're not going to have this embarrassing moment that you're paying for.
Exactly.
And the whole thing is that this is a service. So this is a moment where you can feel comfortable. And if you say this stuff out loud, you know what you're walking into.
Exactly.
You're not going to have to, I feel like you're quick on your feet
Very.
and you're very good. Like you can turn this into a sunshine moment.
I can.
And I too am very comforting when it happens. You know, when it's like that maybe you came, I'm like, we can just go again, whatever it is.
That's what, and also I'm
you
that kind
know?
of person anyway.
There's other things to do.
Like I'm not like like in my personal life most of the time, like I'm not really like a marathon sex person.
Right.
I'm kind of like I like just like boom, and then we take a break, and then boom, we take a break. And
I
then
want
we take a
some
break.
tea and Sade in the middle.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I love
Oh, you're gonna like rub my back.
Yeah, yes. Let's lay in bed and look at cat videos for
I
like
know.
10 minutes.
I actually am, no, seriously, for 10 minutes, and then we go back.
Yeah, I've done that. It's great. It's great.
Yay.
That cat video break is the essence. But having that talk, this is the moment to say, this is my first time. If it's your first time, which I think a lot more people than we think use sex work to just pop the bubble.
Yes, I actually have one client who I know I'm the only girl that he sees. We've done duos before, and he never ends up liking the other girl, even though I have done several duos with that girl or whatever. It's just that he doesn't like other people. Yeah. And I was like, why do you only see me? Just out of curiosity. And he was like, well, you know, I want regular sex with somebody that I enjoy. Right. And no, but I don't want a relationship. And I'm not going to manipulate some woman into thinking that it's a relationship, especially if I have the means to pay for you. Why wouldn't I just pay for you? And I was like, that is very awesome. So, you know, people who are listening, this is not just like married men who are trying to pull one over. No. It's actually a wide variety of people who come seek me out. And I, you know, really encourage a lot of you guys to reach out to me.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Have you ever gotten couples?
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
You know, weirdly enough, I actually don't know why I didn't even tell this story. I had a couple once. It was a guy and a girl. And the man, I think, became kind of obsessed with me because he saw me alone the first time. And then it was this couple. And he wrote like a 10-minute reflection on him coming to see me for the first time. However, he voice noted it to me. And I'm just listening to this for 10 minutes. And also, he had just started. The story was literally just him on his moped coming to the hotel. We didn't even talk about the meeting. It was talked about it for 10 minutes, and he was like, and that is part one. I was like, my God.
Was it 10 minutes of him like talking about the wind in his hair?
Yes.
And thinking about,
yes.
Okay, well.
And approaching, what is she going to be like? And I was like, I never want you to send this to me ever again. And I was like, you are being so weird. And this was somebody who needed to be spoon-fed things that were on like FAQ, right? And then eventually I was like, I don't think this is going to work out. You have ruined this for you and your wife. You need to. Right. Oh. Yeah. Yeah. I was like, she can see me. You cannot.
Oh, I once had a man send me a poem about why he stood me up.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
And why did he stand you up?
I don't know. He got nervous.
Ew.
And then years later, he found me at an event and walked up. And I was with another friend who had done content with him.
Oh, my God.
And he was weird during the content.
Of course.
And he just walked up and immediately, and he was like all covered up.
No.
But immediately he goes, you don't remember me. And I was like, it's the poem guy. But
I didn't even know
and she had a weird thing, and we're standing together, and it was just this like, these are things you don't do.
Yes.
Don't be weird and then go be weird again.
Don't be weird and then be weird.
And then be weirder. Okay, so what are some final tips for folks who are seeking to pay for sex?
I'd say some final tips are introduce yourself when you contact us. You know, I don't love getting messages that are just, hey, because I could be anybody. I want to know, hey, you know, my name is so-and-so. I live in this area, and, you know, it's a little bit about me. I'd love to see you on this time, because it makes me feel like you see me as a person enough to humanize yourself. I would also like to say, do not try to negotiate the rules. This is not a flea market. Do not negotiate on what kind of donations I take.
No haggling.
No haggling. Yeah. No haggling. And I would also like to say, if you have any outfit requests or anything, make sure to also send an additional donation for someone to go out and get the outfit.
That part. Because nurse outfits are not cheap.
They're
not good ones.
And I also don't just have them.
Yeah.
Like, I need to go get one.
You're not an extra in a movie. No, just have like an EMT outfit at the waiting.
Don't, exactly.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
We have a little reflection moment.
Please.
It's a little thing we're gonna end our episodes with.
Love.
We're calling this Sex Worker Utopia.
Oh my God.
The year is 2050. Oh my God, in 2050, how old will I be? Wait, what year is this?
2025. So 25 years.
How old am I now? I'll be like, okay, I'll just be retiring. It's not that old. I was like, will I be dead? No, I won't be dead. It's 2050.
Okay.
What do you want to see happen for sex workers in the future? And this can be as fantastical as glorious. We don't need to bring in the like grim.
Of course.
Yeah.
I would love for sex workers to have easier access to full service, full panel STI care, especially at the kind of grade that porn stars get.
Yes.
So, we have different facilities. Our tests are way more robust than the general public, and I would like that to be available
on
to all sex
demand.
workers. Yeah, on demand. And the results come back in like 24 hours.
Yeah.
I would also like there to be decriminalization of sex work. And I say decriminalization, not legalization, because that is a whole different thing.
Yeah.
I would also love for more sex workers to have an easier time in dating. I find that a lot of times, I am, before I was so public with being a sex worker, I would have to be super, super, super straightforward with men because they would feel some type of way about me doing sex work. And so now it's like, if you know me a little bit, even from the internet, you know that I don't drink and that I do sex work and that I'm funny as fuck. So like, I make it so obvious. Everybody knows, even my, all my family does.
Yeah.
And I think I would like to see more sex workers being loved genuinely because the experiences that we have at work are just not enough for that comfort and that intimacy.
Yes. It'll be a job and you understand a job and that the job is a job.
It is just an entertainment job.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah. I love that.
Thank you.
Have you ever seen Firefly? I'm a nerd.
No. What's that?
Watch Firefly.
Okay.
It's a fantastical Joss Whedon show that was like one season, but literally sex work is legal, but it's like its own sect, higher thing. It's
cool.
So you have to,
Okay.
Just the way they did it, I was like, yeah.
Yeah,
like,
that.
Like you have to have a license, and it's like, but you're like, it's like you're a caregiver, and it's a very respected, almost priest-like in how the respect is given, and like
cool.
it's that part. Joss Whedon's an asshole, but that part he got right. So, I had to say that because I know somebody's gonna listen to this. But Joss Whedon, and I'm like, yeah, we know, we know,
yes,
I know. I'm
Someone
not
who
dumb.
lacks nuance will be like, well, I thought.
Yeah, it's like, well, whatever. Addis,
yes,
this was delightful.
I know, this was so fun.
I love this.
Yeah, I want to come back.
I can listen to you talk forever. We hope you enjoyed today's show. You can find more information on today's guest, myself, and our Sensually profiles linked in the description below. If you like the episode, please give us a rating on whatever podcast platform you're listening to. It really helps support the show. So You Want to Try is brought to you by Sensually. Creating your free account with Sensually unlocks access to hundreds of sensual experiences, whether you're looking for a workshop to learn shibari, a pole dancing class, intimacy coaching, or someone to help you fulfill your deepest fantasies. Sensually is the place to look. Check out the description for more details.